it's Lisa. I have 3 photos today that I'm going to scrap. This is the second day of Layout a Day, and today's prompt has to do with not just scrapbooking all of the big events of life, but the smaller things, and I've chosen to interpret that by taking a little piece out of the holidays. I do scrapbook Christmas events, but there's something that happens every year, or has happened almost every year since I was a teenager. I make my cheese ball. And it's just a little thing, but it's something that both my husband and I look forward to, maybe me a little more than him, although he did have quite a bit of cheese ball this year. The recipe makes enough for several, so I give some away, but we keep plenty of them and eat plenty of them. And there's a lot of, I was surprised when I pulled out this photo and I got to thinking about it. There are a lot of stories here, and I'm not even sure whether I'm going to tell all the stories. I can't imagine doing 2 pages on the cheese ball, so I probably need to say whatever I want to say. But it's not just about that recipe, it's about the cookbook. This was the first cookbook that I ever got. It was the church I was attending at the time, and I've made several recipes out of this cookbook, and there's just, and you can see from the edges of it how worn this thing is. I have used and used and used it over the years. So I have a lot of stories to tell here, and I picked a sketch from my sketchbook, a 3-photo sketch. I think I'm gonna switch my photos around here though and flip it this way. Let's see. Yeah, something like that. So I'm gonna flip it probably, and that'll just turn everything one way or the other. I'm gonna have a fair amount of room because my photos are not really that large, so I've got my title up here. I can put some journaling down here at the bottom like it shows. What I'm actually thinking about is the sketch has a tab on it. When I did this page originally and did a video with it, that tab just ended up being decorative. I didn't have more journaling that I wanted to include, but you could create a pocket and include more journaling. And I think that's what I'm going to do for this. The sketch attracted me not just because of the 3 photos, but also because of that tab, because I think I'm going to create multiple tabs up there like a recipe would have, you know, a little recipe box, and pull and have my journaling behind there and pull out some different stories that relate to the cookbook and the cheese ball and somebody in my life that was special to me who really loved this particular item. So just, you know, I've just got several little stories that I want to tell. The photos that I'm going to use, I'm not going to do all these circles. I got to come up with some other embellishments here. The photos or the papers that I'm going to use, this is a collection, another older collection from Stampin' Up, and I haven't used any of this, so I've got several full sheets here, but it's a cooking related collection. It's also got some papers that relate to other domestic things that probably won't be relevant to me, but there's a paper in here even that has this red check background, and I had a red check napkin when I took the photo at Christmas. So I've got some really good papers here to work with. As far as embellishments, I don't have cooking related embellishments, so I went and pulled out a variety of different stickers. I'm thinking about using, oh, there they all go, these little photo frames from Maya Road, and maybe doing something with the parts of the pattern paper and to turn those into little embellishment groups, framing up some of these pieces. I could cut them up. There's another page in here. Yeah, here's one that has those as well and has some different pictures to it. So I'm thinking about making these into embellishments. And maybe some stamps. I don't know what I'm going to do, but for right now I'm going to start getting some of the basic foundation of this pulled together.
My first challenge was in lettering. I had to find something that had 3 E's in it, that I had all the E's, but I'm using some letters that could be misted, but I'm just going to leave them as white. And I need to cut this middle part. I am going to use that red check paper. It tells me on the sketch the size, or I can take any element that's printed out here and just double it, since it's a 6-inch square on the printed page. The size that it is on the sketch is really larger than I need because my photos aren't as large. So I'm going to go drop it down to about roughly 9 3/4. I decided to go with the pattern so that I cut it even with a little bit of red on each side. I've been, I guess, sewing way too many years, and I've always played with my patterns and made them work out evenly and centered and stuff, and I do it sometimes with pattern paper too. So I wrote down my measurements so I would remember those when I got ready to cut it. And I spent a little bit of time here briefly looking at maybe just turning it, because that check pattern could be done on the diagonal, and I thought that would be really pretty. And so I kind of looked at that a little bit and kind of covered up the corners to see what it would really look like when it was cut down. I liked it, but it looked almost a little too much like a pizza place tablecloth or something. So I went back to the regular checked pattern because that's what was on the napkin in the photo. And I've cut it down, and I think that I need a little something there as a border. I liked the idea of rickrack that was on one of those papers, and I had some green rickrack that I could use. There are also some border strips there that I considered putting with this, but in the end I just went with one of the tone-on-tone patterns from the collection in yellow. And now I'm working on my pocket. Before I glue everything down, I'm going to make my pocket out of an envelope. Taken an envelope here, it's about a 5x7, I think, something like that. And I'm going to trim the top of it off so that it opens at the top, and I'll glue that to the back side of the main paper there. And I just keep making sure that I'm gluing it in the right place with the right side up. And then I can put all of my journaling down in that pocket, and it won't get away from me. I tucked a few pieces of paper down in there just to see how much bulk I had and if I needed to put something over on the left side to sort of prop it up, and I think that I do. I could do dimensionals, or I could take these little chipboard pieces. I kind of save the little leftovers sometimes and use those as spacers. But I decided I'd rather have something fuller underneath the left side as well. So I'm just going to take some pieces of paper and trim them down and glue those to the back. And they don't need a lot of adhesive, just something to kind of hold everything in place. So I've got about the same amount of bulk on the left side as on the right side, close to it. There's a little bit more on the left, but it's not going to be that much more. And now I'm to a point where I can position this. I'm using some measurements on the sketch to help me a little bit, and also how much room that little chipboard frame is going to take. Working with my grid mat to help get things straight. And the pattern paper also helps here a lot to make sure it's straight and centered. And then I'll glue the rickrack on with some Tombow adhesive. And this gives me a little bit of trouble. It doesn't want to stay there when I trim it off. I had some scissors that have cut paper way too many times and didn't do a good job cutting the ribbons. So anyway, I got it on. And then my pocket's all ready to go. I want to use this frame for one of the designs, and I'm deciding on a color to paint the frame. I'm going to use the Barn Red color in the Distress paint from Tim Holtz. I have a sample of this painted. I have some little paint samples, and I think it's going to look really good when it's dry. Of course, with chipboard, you can always go back over it. Now I have my journaling, and I need to see how much to cut off the bottom of it. So when I printed it, I just made sure I left plenty of room. And so I put it in there upside down and marked the place to cut it, and I cut all three to go in there. And now I'm pulling some tabs from these October afternoon stickers to go at the top of each of the little things of journaling. Each of the journaling items is a different part of the story. One of them is about the recipe book. One of them is about the person who especially loved the cheese ball. Was an old friend of mine, and he's passed away now, and I talked a little bit about him. And then there's about the first time I made the recipe, and some advice I got from somebody who particularly recommended it. So I had lots of little stories. I did end up with my stickers, a couple of them in the wrong place, so I just took them off and fixed them. Can't always do that with October afternoon stickers, so I was glad that I was able to get these corrected. I'm sorry about my voice this afternoon. I know it's not quite normal. We went out for a walk. It's been so pretty here today. Doing this on Groundhog's Day, and unfortunately it's so pretty that old groundhog saw his shadow. Just trimming out the embellishment. And I'm going to put that over on the left side. I've stamped the word favorite on the bottom from a Technique Tuesday stamp. And I have some stitched brads from Basic Gray that were this right colors for this collection. And now I'm going through any sticker sheet I've got, anything that might remotely have to do with cooking. There's a sticker that has to do with handmade or homemade for you, so I put that on there. I have one that says reminisce that I may use, and recorded by. I also have these stickers. I think these are My Mind's Eye. Can't recall. I bought them in a sort of a grab bag kind of thing. That's why I have multiple of the same sheet, and I'm just looking at using those. That round one up there, though, I don't know, I may have too many stickers up at the top. I'm just moving a lot of stuff around and trying different things. And I finally decided that I needed something to sort of ground everything, and that maybe some of the striped paper with the designs on it might work behind each of those different embellishment groups. I've also got some wood veneer pieces. I did kind of like the square sticker, just kind of off the top of the screen there, but it'll show up in the final part of the video. That one sort of balanced the square element down at the bottom of the page. All finished. I did use the 3 brads, and in the end I added quite a bit of this paper from the strips, and to add some color and kind of create some unity. It's mainly just to have some weight in those different embellishment groups. Look at some of these different things. We have our story we can pull out. Each of those. Okay. So this was for a challenge to use some smaller story, not something that's, you know, the big deal kind of thing. So this is just a little piece out of my Christmas. And I did use the sketch, and I followed it pretty closely. I didn't add the journaling down here since I'd already put so much journaling up there. So I just left that as kind of some resting space for the eye. Anyway, thanks for watching, and if you're interested in the sketchbook, it is available over on my blog. There's a link in the description for this video, so please check that out, and I appreciate all your comments and feedback and likes. It's really very motivating. Thank you so much. Bye.